Hey guys, welcome to the Kelly Adventures. Today I'm going to be showing you a step-by-step tutorial, comprehensive, of how I do this Pottery Barn finish. But this one that I did today is more of a Driftwood kind of Pottery Barn finish. So the tutorial I had before, which was more of like an overview, I used a beige base paint. And this time I switched it up a little bit and went with a Sherwin Agreeable gray as the base paint because I wanted more of that grayish, just kind of like driftwood look. So I really liked how it turned out. And again, I kind of gave it that rustic look because to me, I think, wood isn't perfect. It's not. I think it looks more natural when you kind of give it a little bit, some flaws, some more character, and I really liked how this one turned out. So as you can see, here is the original piece, and this is not real wood, so I did not have to sand it. There I had done a previous version years and years ago, very rustic look. But so I started with the Extreme Bond primer again, and Sherwin-Williams brands. I really like this stuff, so you start with that because, you don't have to sand it if it's not real wood. And I did give it a quick cleaning, just wiping it down. So here we are putting the primer on, and it doesn't have to be perfect. As you can see, it's not, I just do one coat, and you just want to make sure that everything is going to bond to the furniture. Okay, so you're going to get one coat of the primer on, and then you're going to make sure that it dries completely before we move on to the next step. Okay, so here we have the base paint, and we are going to do one coat of Emerald Urethane Trim Enamel in Agreeable Gray, and that's a satin finish that I chose. I do the urethane trim enamel because it's more durable than, or I find that it's more durable than some other types of paint, especially when you're dealing with furniture and cabinets. You don't have to use this. It's just one of my preferences. And I chose to do the Agreeable Gray because it's a little cooler than the beige that I went with before. I have another video that is more of an overview of this process, but I'm not actually going through it step by step. And with that furniture, I did a beige base paint. This one, I wanted more of a driftwood look, so the Agreeable Gray kind of can get like a greenish tint to it sometimes. And with the gray and the green, and then mixed with the brown from the Glaze, it really came out with this pretty natural color that was just kind of rustic looking and coastal. I felt like it really turned out nice. It was better than I expected because I was kind of nervous using the Agreeable gray. I wasn't sure how it was going to turn out, but I was thrilled with it. So anyway, okay, so we're just doing the one coat on here, and just make sure you cover everything. But again, it doesn't have to be perfect because it is, a rustic type of piece. I think, you can just kind of go with more of a natural look, and you don't need to have, 3 coats or anything on there. So you're going to let this dry completely, and I also wanted to make a little note on this tape, this yellow tape that I have here. It's just painter's tape that's doubled over that I use for a handle to keep the door on, but I don't want it closing because it has that magnet on it. So that brings us to the glaze effect, and for this we use the Rust-Oleum transformations in Java Brown, and it's just a decorative glaze, and we are going to apply this with a chip brush. On the back you can see it says to let it dry for 8 hours. And this is the brush that I use to apply it with. It's a 5-inch deck brush. And you can see it's very soft. This is very critical for getting the right effect when it comes to trying to create that faux wood look. So I highly recommend using this type of brush, and I included the link in the description. So that you can see which exact one I have. Okay, so you're just going to take a chip brush and you're going to make sure there's not too much on the brush, but you want to make sure to cover the complete area that you're working with. So as you can see, it's not too thick. You don't want to have it, you don't want to be too heavy-handed because then it'll come out really dark. But you want to make sure you have enough that it's going to cover the entire area. So you're going to grab the deck brush and you're going to have a rag handy too. That's important because you're going to take the brush and drag it across the furniture in whatever stroke fashion that you want to use. I try to just make it look as natural as possible, and then I wipe off some of the excess onto the rag, and this helps to take off anything that is, a little bit too heavily applied. And you just keep working the glaze until you get the look that you're going for. I tend to keep working it a lot, sometimes a little bit too much, but You just want to keep brushing it until you're just getting that shade that you're going for. So I don't normally do a slightly different direction, like 2 different directions. I try to stay in the same direction. However, with this, it was a little bit tricky because you're working with this corner table. So this is where I was just trying to get, you know, the right look for it. You do have some time to, you know, you don't have to like rush really fast to get it perfect. It's not going to dry that quickly. However, you know, you can't wait like 10 minutes in between or anything. You know, it will start to get tacky and set up as you're working with it. So you kind of want to have an idea of what you're doing. But if you mess up, which I have done in the past, I have repainted over it and have done it again. I just went back to the base coat and I redid that. And then I redid the glaze. So here I'm just, you know, taking it the direction that I want the wood grain to go. And I'm not being perfect with it again because I feel like it looks more natural with wood to have these imperfections and flaws. I don't like when it looks so perfect, but this is just my opinion. To me, you know, I don't want it to look like the pieces of furniture that you buy that you know are fake. So I love to have that little bit of rustic flair to it. So here you can see like I'm tapping the brush and just kind of using different techniques to fill in all the gaps, make sure everything is covered. So I'll just give it a quick dab every now and then brush over it again to continue with the same strokes. So now I'm using a chip brush to kind of go back and do all the fine details. So before we had the deck brush, and I used that to get everything pretty much the way that I want it and to get the level, the shade that I want. And then this brush is going back and kind of adding a little bit more texture, as you can see. And it's just getting all of those fine details. And then I take it on the side like that and just kind of swipe it through. And it gives these lighter streaks to the wood that just kind of looks really pretty to me. I like the lighter highlights, I guess, going through it like that. This brush is also great for getting into, you know, all the little nooks and crannies, the corners, the little areas that you just can't get into with the deck brush. so here we're just working on the side and applying the glaze. You will also see when you're working with this glaze, you'll start to feel when it really, you can't really work it any further. And if you continue to work it, it could start to get a little bit gummy on you. And you really don't want to do it once it reaches that point, because then it's kind of set. So here I'm using the deck brush again, but this is a little difficult because it is such a small space. So I really just do the best I can. I kind of dab it a little bit to try to get into those corners. So then you just kind of brush it across, and again, you go with whatever direction I think looks the most natural for your piece. It's not going to be the same for every single piece, and even different pieces of wood on your furniture. Not really wood, but whatever material you're working with. This is not real wood here either. So I just kind of try to imagine, like, if you were using a piece of wood, what direction would the grain be going here? So there's that dabbing motion again. And then just kind of like brushing afterwards to smooth it out a little bit. Sometimes when I have excess on the brush like that, I don't even need to apply the glaze with a chip brush. I can just kind of use that excess and dab it right onto another piece that hasn't been glazed. Try to work in sections that are not too big, but enough that it kind of makes sense. Like, you don't want to stop like right in the middle of a solid piece there. You want to kind of finish it on out. So there I'm using the chip brush again just to do all of the fine details. Okay, so as you can see, I'm going to do the whole door in this one section. And I kind of already started it a little bit. You can see when I was doing the side piece there, but that's okay because it'll just all blend together. That's not really a big deal. So I'm just applying the glaze all over around that section. And then we're going to go over it with the deck brush. I found that I applied quite a bit of glaze on this section. So I'm going over it, and as you can see, sometimes you get a little bristle in there from the chip brush, so you just kind of have to scrape it out and keep going. Now I do some of those little dab type things to add in a little bit more texture and just kind of resemble imperfections in natural wood. Now I'm working from the top down on this piece. That's not always the case. As you can see, the brush can get on the other sections that you've already done. So you really just need to take the deck brush or the chip brush and just go over it again with that, just to smooth it out. And sometimes it actually looks more natural because it gives a little bit of a shading effect to different parts of your piece. Here I'm just adding in a few imperfections again, dabbing it and then going over it with the brush. And then I'm going to use the chip brush to just do all the fine details. So up where you can't really reach with the deck brush, you're going to just smooth everything out, and it helps to make everything uniform. So for the bottom here and any sections that are really small, you just do the best you can, again, to apply the glaze, and then just using the brush, do the effect to the best that you can fit it, and then just smooth everything out again with the chip brush. Sometimes for parts of the piece that are going to stand out, like the drawer part here, I like to do it either a little bit darker or a little bit lighter, just depending on how you did the rest of the furniture, just to kind of make it stand out a little bit. So for this one, I did this in a little bit more of an exaggerated format, just to kind of add a little bit more of the glaze and more texture to kind of give it a little bit of that rustic look and kind of just make it pop. So I'm pulling that glaze through, but then I'm adding in a few of the dabs to kind of give it that imperfect look, and just very, very gently going back over it again to kind of leave it there. And again, this has to thoroughly dry before you can move on to the next step, which is the dry brushing. So you want to make sure that the can says 8 hours, and that's going to depend on the humidity levels that this is drying in. If it's outside or if it's a really humid day, it's going to take a lot longer, and you need to make sure that this is set before you continue on. So it was a really humid day here when I was doing this, so I had everything inside because there was no way it was going to dry outside. And then we just take the chip brush and we go back through and do all of the fine details. You can see there's a lot of shine to that right now. However, that's mostly why I use the matte polyurethane, because it'll knock that shine down on the finished product. Okay, the next step is dry brushing, and for this I used Agreeable gray again. However, I just had a sample paint, so I just used one of those. You could use white or any kind of paint that you really want, just something to kind of give it highlights. So you're going to dip your brush, which is a chip brush, into the paint, and then you want to take it and, using a paper plate or whatever you have, try to get all of the paint off of the brush. You definitely need this, that's why it's called dry brushing, to have almost nothing on there. And you'll see when I apply it, it almost looks like there's nothing going on. It's just very, very fine. And if you apply too much, I always keep a rag with me to kind of blend it in, so that you don't need to start all over. And also with this technique, you can try to hide some of if you did something with the glaze, that you just didn't really like, you can try to cover it up a little bit with the dry brushing. And it really just adds this nice texture and dimension. It's kind of like hair, with highlights. It just really adds so much, I think, to the furniture. I tend to add a lot of dry brushing. However, I try to do it, very light-handed. So it doesn't look like there's a whole bunch going on, but I love that driftwood look with all the different dimensions. So I do tend to do a lot of dry brushing. And you can use, like I said, different colors. I've used the beige paint before, and different types of gray. I've done the Agreeable gray, which is what I'm using now, but I've used intellectual gray, just for some different looks. Really depends on how rustic, I guess, you want the piece to look. And I didn't want it to look painted per se. I just want to give it those really fine highlights. As you can see, that's all of the dry brushing that I did. And I love how it gives some of the wood that blondish type effect, almost as if you bleached the wood. So this is kind of what I was going for, was that bleached look. Okay, so this is the top coat, and I use Varathane water-based ultimate polyurethane in a matte finish so that it looks more like Driftwood. It's not too shiny. And this you just apply with a paintbrush. I prefer the Purdy paintbrushes. I have those in my description, links to them. They're just easy to work with. You don't really want to use like a foam brush or a chip brush to do the top coat because you want this to look as if it's not there. You don't want bubbles in it or, you know, pieces of the brush getting into it. For this piece here, I did 3 coats. It's kind of what I normally do because it's not really used a whole bunch. So I wasn't really worried about it getting too banged up. Okay, so here you can see this is the finished piece, and I have the hardware back on. Has those slight imperfections to kind of give it more of a natural look, but it does have that faux wood, sort of bleached driftwood type Pottery Barn finish. I don't really know what exactly you would call it. You know, kind of like a sun bleached look. I was matching it to, I have another video where I actually bleached a wood table that I have that was a really dark wood, and I was kind of, it sits right next to that, so I was kind of trying to match that that wood, and I think it turned out pretty darn close. I hope this video was a detailed explanation for you for this process if this is the look that you're going for. And if you have any questions, please feel free to leave it in the comments and I will get back to you as soon as I can. And thank you for watching.